creepiest creatures from around the world.
Today's video is not about your cute cat or your cute dog. We're getting into everything from tapeworms, I hate tapeworms, to goblin sharks. These are the creepiest creatures on the planet.
But before we get into today's video, make sure that you're subscribed and ring the bell so that you never miss any of our upcoming videos. Shoebill. You can see why babies are delivered by storks and not shoebills, because these birds look like they will eat your baby for breakfast. Shoebills are found in swamps of eastern Africa and reach heights of 1.5 meters. That's 5 feet tall. Their wings reach 3 meters or 10 feet across. They eat fish, frogs, and even babies. I mean, baby crocodiles and other small mammals. Poodle moth. All the better to see you with would best describe the Venezuelan poodle moth. They have huge, bulging black eyes, a spiky antenna on each side of their face, and combined, it makes them look super creepy. It was discovered in 2009, and despite its coat looking furry and soft, the chances of it stinging you are 100%. Often their hairs are used for smelling or protection. Tube-nosed bat. There are a few varieties of tube-nosed bats, but their common denominator is their tubular-shaped noses. They were first discovered in 2009 in Papua New Guinea. The tube-shaped nose could possibly assist them with feeding or sound production. Japanese spider crab. Not the kind of sea creature you'd like to meet face-to-face, but fortunately chances of that happening are slim to none. They're found deep in the oceans between Tokyo Bay and Kagoshima Prefecture. Spider crabs have the greatest leg span of any arthropod, measuring up to 12 feet or 4 meters. Discovered in 1836, their numbers are depleting rapidly as they're considered a delicacy in certain parts of Japan. Lampreys. This unattractive creature is a nuisance wherever it goes. These prehistoric, jawless fish are found in the US and Canada. Just like regular fish, they use gills to breathe. They latch on to other fish and suck out their blood and bodily fluids. They usually spend 10 years in fresh water and then their final 2 years at sea. In the 1940s, sea lampreys were such a problem in the Great Lakes that they threatened and endangered the commercial fisheries. Lamprey meat is considered a delicacy in some parts of the world. CELEBES crested macaque. Also called the black ape, this old world monkey is found in the Tengkoko Reserve at the northeastern tip of the Indonesian island of Sulawesi and the neighboring islands. They spend most of their days foraging for food and socializing and sleeping in the trees. It's not their faces that are the butt of all jokes, but their actual rear end, which is rather voluptuous. These guys feed on leaves, fungus, birds, eggs, some insects, and the occasional frog or lizard. Naked mole rat. This odd animal is native to eastern Africa, but despite its unfortunate looks, there is so much that scientists and researchers are learning about this remarkable animal. They do not feel pain like regular animals. They seem to be resistant to cancer, and they don't seem to age. This hairless rodent lives in colonies, quite like ants, and they have one queen per colony. Amblypygids. If I tell you that this arachnid was once spotted feasting on prawns that it had plucked from a river, you would be suitably impressed and horrified at the same time. They are also called whip spiders and tailless whip scorpions, all of which invoke a fear that is justified. They have creepy appendages called pedipalps, which they use to grasp their prey. Once they've latched onto their dinner, they use their sharp mouth parts to rip it open and drink the oozing bodily fluids. Hairy frogfish. Also called a striated frogfish, this unattractive fish is covered in hairs, which are called spinules. Masters of camouflage, this fish watches its prey like a hawk, and the moment it's close enough, it draws it in with its lure, and if that doesn't work, it will stealthily crawl towards it and then strike. They really enjoy flounders, shrimp gobies, and lionfish. Wolf eel. Staying underwater, another creepy-looking creature is the wolf eel, a large fish that is found in the North Atlantic. This fish has the advantage of having a long, thin body, so it can squeeze into tight spots looking for food. They can reach 8 feet or 2.5 meters long, and they have really strong jaws and sharp front teeth. Anglerfish. After meeting all these creepy fish from the ocean, I'm rather glad to not be a mermaid. Anglerfish are found in the Atlantic and Arctic Oceans, and they can reach 3 feet, or a full meter in length. The fish has a natural lure above its head, which it uses to lure its prey close to their gaping mouth, ready to be snapped up. It's only the females who have this lure. The male fish are parasitic, grabbing onto their mate with their teeth and eventually fusing together over time. Eventually, all his internal organs disappear, and all that remain are his, well, you know. Eye. We all have a family member that kind of reminds us of the eye. Crazy hair, wild eyes, big ears, and thin bony fingers, and they all come together to bring a rather creepy, unattractive little fellow. Found in Madagascar, eye-eyes live in trees, and they use those long, bony fingers to tap against tree branches, listening for an echo, which is an indication that there are insects inside. Lobster moth caterpillar. As if dealing with scorpions wasn't bad enough, now they come in caterpillar form too. The lobster moth caterpillar has an engorged abdomen that looks like a lobster tail. Luckily, their looks belie their real nature, as they are harmless creatures and their tail is just a form of mimicry used to confuse potential predators. When threatened, they pretend they're about to strike, and the potential predator scurries off. Star-nosed mole. It may look a little creepy, but there are facts about the star-nosed mole that will astound you. Found in the wet, low areas of eastern Canada and parts of the US, this mole is completely blind, relying on the appendages coming out of its face to find its way around. They are said to be the fastest eating mammal on Earth. The star is also the most sensitive organ of any animal on Earth, and the weirdest fact of all, they can smell underwater. Scorpion fly. Scorpions really don't have a good reputation, and this fly has a big deterrent on its rear end, a scorpion tail. They're not tiny either, growing to around an inch. Thankfully, they don't indulge in human flesh and prefer a diet of pollen, nectar, and the odd, already dead insect. Camel spider. If you struggle with arachnophobia, then it doesn't matter what spider we show you, you're gonna be creeped out. This ferocious-looking predator is found in the Middle Eastern deserts, and don't believe everything you hear about them. They don't always chase humans or kill camels or reach lengths of 3 feet, but their jaws do take up as much as 1/3 of their body. Their bite would be very painful, but not fatal to humans. Goblin sharks. This living fossil is a strong contender for the creepiest creature in the world, with 30 rows of sharp teeth inside its mouth. There have been some that reach 20 feet or 6 meters in length, but that is not the norm, thank goodness. The goblin shark is part of a family that dates back 125 million years. They are no threat to humans, as they're generally found only in really deep waters of the open ocean. Satanic leaf-tailed gecko. Found in Madagascar, it's easy to understand why this small gecko has been given its name. Resembling dead leaves, these geckos were discovered in 1888 and were originally described as being mythical. Their numbers are dwindling though, as they're being captured and sold as exotic pets. Wrinkled-faced bat. These wrinkly-faced bats come from Central and South America, and they have folds of naked skin around their nose and mouth area. They eat fruit, but are not classified as a fruit bat, but rather as a leaf-nosed bat, despite not having a leaf nose. Due to their wider-shaped skull, they can eat a broader variety of fruits than other bats. They're nocturnal creatures and completely harmless to people. Honeypot ant. These unusual ants are also called honey ants, and they're drastically force-fed by workers until their abdomens are engorged and they become living larders. First noted in 1881, some ants store food, others water or fats, so there's always something available when resources are at a minimum. In some parts of the outback, these ants are eaten as sweet snacks by people. When an ant wants to feed, he strokes the antenna of the honeypot ant, and the said ant regurgitates its food. Chimera. They also go by the apt name of ghost sharks. These creepy deep-sea dwelling creatures combine two of the biggest fears that many people have: ghosts and sharks. They're cartilaginous fishes who are the sister group to sharks, skates, and rays. One of the deepest ones ever found was 2,042 meters or 6,700 feet at the bottom of the ocean. Because of how difficult they are to come by, not a lot is known about this elusive, very creepy-looking fish. Tapeworms. It may not be an animal we encounter face to face, but it is one nonetheless. And they're the guys who like to cause havoc in your digestive system. They have hooks and suckers around their head, which they use to attach themselves to the intestinal wall. Some can grow 20 feet or 6 meters, and people usually get infected by eating raw or undercooked meat. The larvae grow into adult tapeworms, which live by absorbing their food and nutrients from the host, you. that they are attached to. California condor. This large bird used to be found across the mountain ranges of the Pacific coast, but with habitat loss, illegal shootings, and lead poisoning, their numbers dwindled rapidly, and the last free-flying condor was caught in 1987. They are the largest bird in North America, and there's no denying, probably the scariest too. They are amazing gliders and eat the carcasses of animals like deer, pigs, and whales. There has been some success in reintroducing them back in the US, with around 500 in captivity and 270 flying in the wild. Giant deep-sea isopod. Found in the colder water of the Atlantic, Pacific, and Indian Oceans, giant isopods can reach lengths of 2.5 feet, or just under 1 meter, and they sport a rather alien-like appearance. These bottom dwellers feed off dead organisms like fish, whales, and squid, and can go through a lengthy period of just not eating at all. One isopod from Japan didn't eat for 5 years, and on the other end of the scale, isopods were once filmed feasting on an alligator that had sunk to the bottom of the ocean floor. Purple frog. Discovered in the Western Ghats mountain range in India, this frog is a beautiful hue of purple with light blue rings around its eyes and then a rather distinctive, creepy-looking pig nose. The frog may look a bit odd, but it's highly adapted for leading its life below the ground. They don't even come to the surface for food. They use their tongue to suction up ants and termites all underground. Which of these creatures did you find the creepiest? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. 1. Monkey slug caterpillar. This is the larvae from the hag moth, and it looks a bit like a hairy spider. It has 6 pairs of projections, 3 are short and 3 are long. Many call them the arms and legs, and they're covered with hair. It's relatively harmless, and the hairs don't sting humans. You'd hope that these creepy larvae would at least grow into a beautiful moth or a butterfly, but the poor thing remains as unattractive as the hag moth.